Hey there, Sukhpreet. So, another set of essays from you. Lovely. Let's see what you wrote. The topic is food, local food, and if it's better for the environment and economy if we eat only that. Experts from both the developing and developed world have debated the transport of agricultural produce to distant places. Some people believe that such a movement is detrimental to the environment and economy. Personally, I strongly disagree. Here, really an and would have been nice, okay, to link these two ideas together. This essay will use examples from the UK government and Oxford University to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay, fine. On the one hand, there is ample evidence to suggest that shipment of fruits, vegetables, and food grains is causing harm to the environment. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, farming on a large scale means clearing of forests to bring more area under cultivation. Secondly, transportation of goods by road, rail, and airways is one of the major reasons for emission of greenhouse gases. For instance, recent empirical research by Oxford University indicates that over 60% of the change in the composition of the atmosphere is brought about by commercialization of agriculture. It must not be forgotten that farmers who grow food on a large scale often use fertilizers and pesticides, and this contaminates the soil and water. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that farming on a large scale should not be carried out. On the other hand, although there is a case for movement of agricultural goods to match the demand and supply and for the development of foreign trade, the advantages of shipping these perishable goods cannot be overstated. This is because cultivation on small scale promotes subsistence farming. When each region is capable of producing sufficient quantities of crops to meet demand for food and inputs for the cottage industries, the results are often positive. It'd be nice if you had commas somewhere. For instance, historical records maintained by the UK government reveal that during 1800 AD, 1800 just during that year or during the 1800s, India was known as the Golden Sparrow, since every village in India was growing adequate quantity of food grains to meet domestic requirement, thereby raising the per capita income. Consistent with this line of thought is that every region of the world should lay emphasis on agricultural development in order to ensure prosperity and higher domestic income. Thus, it is possible to state beyond doubt that cultivation on a small scale brings economic development. From the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that farmers should produce quantities sufficient to meet domestic demand rather than growing food on a large scale for economic prosperity and for a healthy environment. It is predicted that subsistence farming will once again grow in importance. Okay, so here's the good news. The good news is that your grammar and your vocabulary are well controlled. No major issues, a couple of little things here and there. I read it rather easily. It flowed nicely. No complaints as far as your language. My complaints about anything here, Sukhpreet, are with your task achievement, okay? Let's talk about why. There is one major... Okay, first of all, let's look at the task. The first sentence sets up the situation. We're talking about food and about how we live in this world nowadays where food travels all over the place, okay? That's a given. Let's just forget about it for the time being. That just sets up the stage here. The second sentence is really where the heart of the essay lies. Some people think it would be better for the environment and economy if we only ate local food. This is what you're really talking about. It would be better for the environment and economy if we only, nothing else, just the food grown in our region. Okay, think about that for a minute. What does that really ask you, and what does that really mean? Okay, so this is what you are being asked to agree or disagree with. It would be beneficial for the environment and the economy if we only eat local food. Okay, I'm not sure where you're from. Think about it in terms of your region. And then think about it in terms of other regions. Think about it in terms of Europe. Think about it in terms of oh, I don't know, sub-Saharan Africa. Think about it in terms of the Gulf states. Think about it in regions like northern Russia. Okay, so think about it for the whole world with all of its characteristics. Okay, and then look at the question again. It would be better for the environment and economy if we only ate local food. Okay, so if you're in a place where eating local food is great because you have tons of arable land that creates an abundance of produce and fabulous. But what if you live in one of those areas like sub-Saharan Africa, like northern Russia, or any region where arable land might not be so readily available, and it might not be enough to provide the food to feed the population. Okay? So, when you look at this essay from that standpoint, I think it changes a little bit, okay? So, now that you hopefully understand what they're asking you to address, look at this paragraph again. You're talking to me only about the negatives of shipping food away. That's not what they asked you. They didn't ask you why shipping food, exporting food is bad. They asked you if it's good to eat only the food our region produces. Okay, so while you're talking about a related topic, this is absolutely not what they asked you. Okay? I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense and you need me to explain it, please write it back in your email. Ellen, I just didn't understand. Okay? Then, here, in this paragraph, you were on the right track. You talked about how in India, that was your example here, you talked about sufficient amount of crops to meet demand and how it was really helpful for the economy. But what did you miss? There it is right there, the environment. You didn't tell us what this does to the environment. So you have to think about that too. Think about the regions that I mentioned. If some of these regions tried to feed their populations just on the produce that they could produce, what would that mean for the environment? Think about the fertilizers they would need. Think about all the chemicals they would need. Think about the water that a lot of these places would need to create arable land where potentially none exists or very little exists. All right, so there's a lot of things that you're asked to think about in this essay, and I feel like a lot of this really missed the point. Okay? It was written very nicely, but again, I don't think you really interpreted the question as you were expected to. Now, the reason why I'm spending so much time talking about this with you is because I can see from what you wrote that your language level is really quite good. You've got very nice vocabulary, very nice grammar. It reads very easily and flows very nicely. So what you really have to focus on is making sure you absolutely understand the question and that you are answering the question as it is posed to you and not some mistaken interpretation of the question, okay? Let's take a look now at your letter to Albion. Dear Sir, Madam, my name is John Albert, student ID this, and I am a final year student of Commerce. I am writing in response to the inquiry letter number dated this, asking for an explanation for not sitting the accounting exam held on Tuesday this. I regret to inform you that I was suffering from high fever that day preceding my high fever the day preceding my accounting exam. I had thoroughly prepared for the exam. However, I felt unconscious on the exam day and was rushed to the hospital by my hostel warden. I gained consciousness, you're missing an NESS, only the next morning. Therefore, I was unable to report my absence. I wanted to report this to the exam controller the very next day. Unfortunately, the doctor told me I was suffering from swine flu, so he instructed me to confine myself, or he instructed me to be confined to my bed and refrain from meeting people as this fever is contagious. Please find enclosed the doctor's report and my medical expenses as evidence of my sickness. Now that I am fully recovered, I request you to accept my leave application and allow me to sit the accounting exam in the month of May so that I can graduate this semester along with my batchmates. My batchmates? Kindly consider my request, since this was an unforeseen situation and was beyond my control. Once again, I apologize for any inconvenience due to failure to inform of my absence. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. Yours faithfully. Okay. Really, 241 words, huh? Okay. Let's talk about what you did here. Did you identify yourself? You said your name, you said your student name. I assume that you meant this was your case number, although I would have liked you to have stated it as such, okay? Just make it clear. It's really not a big deal to do it. Did you explain what happened? Yes, absolutely you did. Did you give possible resolutions? Well, let's see. You have asked to sit the exam in the month of May. That was your resolution. Okay, well, what did it ask for? It asked for resolutions, meaning more than one. Okay, that S is right there to show you they don't want one resolution, they want more than one. Therefore, as far as IELTS is concerned, you did not fulfill the requirements of the bullet, and they will score you accordingly. Okay, that's the kind of thing that needlessly will cause you to lose points in your band score. Okay, so let's avoid that and let's pay really, really close attention to what we're being asked in the essays and in the letters. Okay, so that's what you have to work with here. That's what you have to work on. I hope that the information helps you to progress and to do better in your upcoming sets. Okay, I'm looking forward to them. Go ahead, correct these and send them back to us. And of course, your next set. Good luck.